Okay, I'm here at Researching Your Roots. Researchin, sorry, no G. Researching Your Roots. And if some of you see this video out there on my channel and you've gotten a friend request from Facebook from me, please let me be friends with you on Facebook so we can also be, it's a lot easier to communicate with people that I'm connected to on YouTube through Facebook. But if you don't want to connect to me on Facebook, fine, that's no problem. But if you will, that'd be great, because then I can communicate with you more about your channel and things like that, maybe things we could do together, how we can get our friends to, my people who are subscribed to me on my channel to subscribe to you. This may be a good way for us to get more subscribers. And so, but I did get my DNA test packet kit from MyHeritage. They are not my sponsor, I'm not theirs, and yet I realized that on this internet program I'm using to do my videos, it only does a little teeny circle of my face, so I can't, what I really need is like a telephone to do the recording of it, or go on live stream and show you guys actually even on live stream I'm not sure I'm going to get that big of a picture, so I may have to do it with a telephone and record a video of me doing my DNA test so you guys can see me open it, do an unboxing as they call it, and then, excuse my yawning, and then do the DNA test where you guys can see it, how it's done. I got my DNA test kit on Black Friday, so I got it for $39 instead of the normal $79 or $99 or something from MyHeritage. Ancestry.com is $20 or more dollars more, so I got a good deal. And yes, all of them do the same thing. No matter where you get your DNA kit from, they all work exactly the same. I wouldn't even be surprised if they go to the same places to get the DNA test done. So if I had bought one from Ancestry.com, which is not my sponsor, and I don't sponsor them and they don't sponsor me, it would have cost me more money. That's it. That's the only difference, is that you're paying more money, not that it would do any different. MyHeritage DNA kit is the same. And they may not like that, but it's the truth, because I've actually seen a program on the internet where they had triplets, and they went and got 5 or 6 different DNA kits from 5 or 6 different common, well-known genealogy websites. One of them was Ancestry.com, one of them was MyHeritage, and then there were 3 or 4 or 5 more. And they all came up with the exact same answers for these 3 triplets, that these 3 were triplets, they were related, had the same parents, born on the same, whatever it is that you get out of the DNA kit. So they all do exactly the same thing, and they do it all the same way. They just charge different prices. And it's true, they have all these extra things you can pay extra money for to get done. But I wasn't interested in that. I just want to try to connect with people that are in the genealogical websites who are related to me, supposedly by blood through DNA. And I hope this stuff really works, and this isn't some kind of random thing where who knows if you're really related to them or not. Hopefully it's legitimate. And then I also did it, the DNA test kit, I'm doing it and sending it in for, excuse me, I'm yawning again, for medical purposes, to see if there's any genetic type things that I'm unaware of, genetic health problems, whatever. So those are the 2 purposes. The main purpose is for medical genetics, to find out what kind of disease or genetic health problems I don't already know about, because I know most of them. I'm 56 and I already have diabetes, high blood pressure, high triglycerides, normal cholesterol. So these are all genetic problems I knew about high blood pressure. I knew about diabetes long before I was even an adult and didn't do anything about it. So now I'm doing things about my health. And that's why I got the DNA kit mostly. But it's good to have because it will connect me to other people that are on Ancestry.com, MyHeritage, and other websites that are not my sponsors and that I don't sponsor yet. So right now I'm going to do some research of my own family history, my own family tree, and I'll be recording that. So this is the family that recently I found out I'm related to somebody who married into a relative who married into another relative's family. So I don't know if these people are blood relations, but this particular individual has an ancestor, this man here, who is from Germany, I believe, and or at least this guy's dad was from Germany. So we have some Germans that came over to Mexico back 1800s and married Mexicans, either this man here or his father. And then these people are Mexican, and so is Marcelina Hernandez and these folks here. So I have some Mexicans that are in my line, and I have a few others also. One particular individual that was from the United States moved down to Mexico, and he had a company down there he was working with. I think he was an executive of some kind, and he married someone from Mexico. So his children were half Mexican, and then they wound up inheriting a huge amount of money and company that wound up in the, I don't remember where, Louisiana, I think. And I think they're both dead now. So I don't know if they got married and had kids, but I do have some connections to Mexico, so that's really interesting. I also have connections to Peru and Spain. As far as I know, none of these are blood relations. They're just distant cousins that married some of my distant cousins that are, I don't even know if they're really blood relation. I think these are all by marriage, but somewhere, somebody has to be a blood relation of mine that married somebody who married somebody, blah, 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 all the way back. So that's why I'm doing all this research, is to find out who's related to whom. But I get so far back many times and off on so many different tangents, different lines of relations, that it's difficult to trace it all the way back down to my blood relations and how these people married. So it's just so many people. There's literally, I don't know, 20 some odd thousand people in this family roots magic database that I use, at least, maybe more. So that's what I'm working on today, are some people from Mexico. And we're really blessed to have on Ancestry.com a lot of databases that are connected, or digital records connected to Ancestry.com. They're from Mexico. So I was able to find quite a bit of information on these people. I also have some Philippines here in Ancestry.com. So I'm going to go to the Mexican records, come down here to USA, UK, and Ireland. And I know they have some Mexican records because I saw them. Okay, let me see, where are they? Well, let me go back to where I was searching those and find that particular database. Look in my shoebox. So we go back to the home page, and at the bottom we have our shoebox. If you're using a shoebox, you can click on that. Somewhere in here were some Mexican records. I know I was also using California records. Here we go. Let me make that a little bigger for you to see on the screen. It's Nuevo León, Mexico, Chihuahua. Those are two states of Mexico. Then we have some Mexico select baptisms. This is a civil registration of marriages from this particular date to that. And then we have some Catholic Church records here. And so these are our actual Mexican records, I guess, that Ancestry.com purchased or received donated by the Mexicans or by Catholic Church, perhaps. Civil registration marriages, I'm not sure where they would have gotten those. Let's open that up and see where that comes from. We can go down to the bottom here, and it tells you where they got that from. They got it from the City of Chihuahua's Central Archives. And it gives you a description of that if you want to learn more. And it doesn't tell me how they got this information, but there it is. So that helped me. But it doesn't give me any birth information on, for example, Otto Ruef, or I'm not sure how to pronounce that. But this guy's parents here, all it did was give me their names, which is great. It really is. But that's all I've got. So, and then I don't know their parents. Now, if I go back to those Mexican records here, I can actually find their parents, because if I click on this guy, it gives me some of his records over here. But I'm not 100% sure, because there's probably a lot of different Jose Ruefs, I'm not sure how you say that, or Marcelina Hernandez's. There's probably a whole bunch of them. So as time goes by, if I keep going back, I can get names, but I need more than names. I need places of birth, birth years, marriage dates, marriage places, which I could get with this, but unless I have all that other information like birth years, birth places, death places, and other information, I won't know which marriage record is correct. So you may not understand that at this point, but you really need more than one denominator or one variable to get to solve a math equation. That's the same thing with researching things. You need to have more than one or two different things about somebody to help you find the person you're looking for. So that's one of the things I've been doing in all my family history research videos is trying to explain to you the different sources you can go to get that kind of information so that you can narrow down a person and make sure you have the right person, you have the right information for them. Because even in the United States, we have a lot of John Smiths, we have a lot of people with the last name Brown, Johnson, Jones, and a lot of them have the same first names, both male and female. So it's the same in Mexico. There's an awful lot of Jose's and a lot of Jesuses and a lot of Marias and a lot of Juanitas with the very same last name. Like Garcia, for example, is extremely common. There are other names, Gonzalez, for example. Those are very common names. So Jose Ruef is not as common, but Marcelina Hernandez is. And so as time goes by, as I go back, I can get a lot of names. They're going to connect them with names, but they don't connect them with all the other information I need. So that'll make it more difficult to find information on people that are related to these people, but I need more than just names. So what I was thinking about doing was, instead of going back in all of these Mexican civil registration marriage records and just putting whomever they list into the handwritten record, who the parents, grandparents, great-grandparents are, I'm going to go and take what I have already, and that is Otto Ruef and Concepcion Cano, and I have their marriage date here in place, but I also have their birth years from the census record and birthplaces, death and death places, death dates. I got those from something, I can't remember what record I got it from. And because I have all this data, I know that these are my specific individuals, and it makes it easier for me to research for their parents. So using this very specific information for Otto and Concepcion, and having the names of their parents here, which are in the marriage record that we found for Otto and Concepcion, this is how they spelled their names. I can go out on the internet now, on Google, and type, say, Jose and Marcelina's names in quotation marks and see if it doesn't come up with some more information about these two people along with Otto, and maybe their other children if they had any other children with Otto. And then do the same thing, put these two names, Basilio Cano and Nicanora Alarcon, in quotation marks. I've said why I put quotation marks in other videos, but in case this is your first video, I put the quotation marks around the full name so that it looks for the full name, not just the two words. If I were to type in Basilio Cano like that with no quotation marks around the two words, it would look for every Basilio and Cano it could possibly find on the internet. And that's going to make it really hard for me to find. What I want the computer to do on Google is look for all the Basilio Canos together, men with those names, or Nicanora Alarcon, or Jose Ruef, or Marcelina Hernandez, okay? And I'll show you how I do that. So I go back to the internet, and I get another tab, and I go to Google, and I type quotation mark here, and his name was Basilio, let me check, I don't remember. Basilio, whoa, I lost, oh, there he is, Cano, that's way up at the top here. I was thinking it was going to be down here. It's way up here, so I'll put quotation marks around it. But now I'm going to put some more quotation marks and put his wife's name. And his wife's name was Nicanora or Nicanora Alarcon. Let's see. Nicanora Alarcon. And Alarcon is a very common last name. Nicanora is not. At least not in my personal experience. Neither is Basilio. Okay, so I'm going to see if by putting these two names together in quotations as I have them, something will come up about the two of them related to one another or something like that. And then if an Otto Ruef and a Concepcion Cano pop up, also in that information, then that's probably who I'm looking for. And it could be information that will help me fill in the dates for Basilio and Nicanora and possibly children that would be siblings to Concepcion. I don't know if that's making any sense. You can always pause this, rewind and play it over and listen to it. So I'm not getting anything. It says here that with the quotations, I'm not getting anything with these two people related to each other. So what they've done is they've removed the quotation marks and put all this stuff up here, and of course, there's nothing. Nothing's coming up. So the thing I would do next is get rid of the husband's name, and what I'm going to do is highlight it, and then I'm going to just use Control X to get rid of it temporarily, but it's still on my I don't remember where it's at, but it's there where I can paste it back in later. So I'm going to look up stuff on Nicanora Alarcon, see if anything pops up. Okay, here we have a few links or sites where the name Nicanora Alarcon pop up. Now, a person named Nicanora Alarcon, this person was born in 1892, and if I go back to my pedigree chart, my family group record, we see that Concepcion was born in 1893. Okay, and she would need to have a mother born before 1892, probably 20 or more years, 15 to 20 more years. So it's probably not the Nicanora Alarcon I'm looking for because of that. So I'm just not even going to open that up at this point. But I'm going to go down to these other ones and look for those. This says Barcelona. Well, we know our people were from Mexico, and this person has another last name, and That's not who I'm looking for. That person died in Barcelona, it says. Now here's a Nica Nora Alarcon born in 1863. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up and see what this is. This could possibly be a mother for our Concepcion, if it will open. Not sure it's going to do it, so we may have to. We'll look down here while that's opening. Okay, Nicanora, Nicanora. No, I don't want to translate it. This is called GeniaNet. Is that the European one? So this is a European website for family history. I'm going to presume that this isn't what I'm looking for because this is from Europe, probably from Spain, or I mean, it could conceivably have records from Mexico, but so I'll go down here and this says Nicanora and Roman Rodriguez. So I'll open that up and see what that is. Usually websites in the United States don't take this long to open. This is probably something that has servers maybe in another country. This is taking a little time. And this says that this Nicanora Alarcon was born in 1863, but she married a man named Roman Rodriguez. And the person we're looking for is married to somebody else with a different name. So I'm going to back up a couple of times and see if we have anything else here. I'm not seeing anything in this stuff here that gives me any kind of hope. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and erase that, and I'm going to paste back my Basilio Cano that I had waiting, and I'm going to type in Mexico next to his name. Basilio Cano Mendez. Okay. I don't know about that. Here's my heritage. This person was born in 1876 and married a woman with the last name Ramirez. That's not what we're looking for. It says Nuevo León. Nuevo León. And what I'm doing is just looking at these darker letters where it says Basilio Cano and trying to see what's connected to it. And it looks like they're going to give me a huge amount of links. And if it's not in the first 5 or 6 or 10 of these, I would just not even worry about it, because what I'm looking for are the words of the name of his wife, which was Nicanora Alarcon. And I'm not seeing anything popping up with that name with Basilio Cano. I'm going to go ahead and open this, my heritage, just to check what the heck's going on here. And this is where I bought my DNA kit here. They're still selling it for $49. I got it for $39. But $49 is not bad, really, compared to what Ancestry is asking for $99, and it gives you the same thing. So this is Sunday the 15th. If you see it today, this video today or tomorrow, just know that the 16th, it appears, is when the sale ends. But I'm not 100% certain on that, but you might want to check that out. Here's a Basilio Cano born in 1810. That's too far back. Here's one married to M.A. Teresa Cano. So her name was Teresa Barajas. And that's not who we're looking for. We're looking for Nicanora Alarcon, and that's not in that information. No Alarcons there. No Alarcons, no Alarcons, no Alarcones. So I'm not finding what I'm looking for. So I have a feeling I'm stuck where I'm at this point and won't be able to go back any further. And yeah, I'm reading this really fast because I'm used to this, just flipping through these things really fast. And so this may make your eyes bounce around and give you vertigo. You can always slow it down. So I'm not finding Basilio Cano with a woman named Nicanoro. Is it Nicanora? Nicanora Alarcon. Nothing. Okay, so I'm going to close that. And I'm going to go back now to this family, Jose Ruef and Marcelina Hernandez. Marcelina Hernandez, and I'm going to try that on Google. So I'll do the same thing I did earlier, Jose Ruef, and I'll take the two people and put their names here with quotations around them. Trying to remember who he was married to. Got to go back. Marcelina Hernandez, you would think I would have remembered that. Hernandez with a Z, not an S. And then click and see what pops up. I'm finding absolutely nothing except a possible phone number, but these people were born back in the 1870s, 1860s. The chances of them being alive with a phone number are pretty slim. So these are just people with the same names, different parts of the world that have phone numbers. So that's probably not my family that I'm looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing I did with the other spouse and cut him. And then just look for Marcelina Hernandez and see what pops up. Very, very popular name. Even today, there's Marcelina Hernandez's on Facebook. There's one that died in 2019. That's not the person I'm looking for. So again, they're giving me way too many things for me to look through. I really don't want to take the time to look through all these links. I mean, it's possible I could find something out of 100 links, but probably not. Get rid of Marcelina Hernandez and put in her husband and then look for that, because that last name's much less common. And here we actually have a person, Jose Ruef, that has a picture, but this looks very modern, and so I doubt it's who I'm looking for. This talks about Lisbon. That's in Spain, and I'm not looking for people in Spain. So I'm going to go ahead and go to one more page just in case, because this name's kind of rare. I don't see anything. These are a lot of recent, modern Jose Ruef, people named Jose Ruef in Spain. Something about cancer drugs, things like that. Somebody with that name recently is in the news and online, but now I'm going to change this to Mexico. Actually, you see, where did they come from? This guy, they were married in Chihuahua, Mexico. So let me go check my document here and see where Jose was living when his son got married. It says Chihuahua. They were married in Chihuahua. So let me put Chihuahua, Mexico instead. Chihuahua. Is that one word? I guess so. See what happens. There's a Jose Ruef, 1911. It says birth. That's not right. It would have had to have been born long before that to be Otto's dad, because Otto was born 1890 something. So I'm just going to presume that at this point I'm going to have to go through the Mexican records. So at this point I'm just going to leave this as it is. I know this information is correct. And I did find the surname for Concepcion in order to get her work done in the temple. So that's good for me at this point. And that's what I'm going to leave it as. And I will go find another line and start working on that. I originally started with David Griffith Moody, and then I learned that his wife was Consuelo, or Connie, that was her nickname, and that they had Velma Elizabeth Moody as a daughter, and all that information came out of Ancestry.com, but most of it came out of newspapers.com, California newspaper, I believe in the county of Tulare, California, and I was able to get a lot more than one or two sources. I think I got 3 or 4 sources, and that helped me. And then finally on Ancestry.com, I was able to find information on Otto and Concepcion Cano and their parents. Let's see how far back David Griffith's line goes. So we go to this point. And I found Edna Marie and David's spouses, but I never found a spouse for Redith May. But I believe I found that she died unmarried, that she never got married. Let me double check that. So I'm going back to the document, Microsoft Word document I saved that has some of the sources for these people. And I thought I found something on Redith Rafe that she died single, but I may be wrong. I thought I got an obituary or something. I think I may be wrong. Let's go way down to the bottom here. Control End. So I could be wrong. So why don't we go ahead and go back to Ancestry.com and look for Redith. And see if she had a spouse. For some reason, I think that she was never married, but we'll see. So I'm going to clear all this, and it's saved in my shoebox, so I'm not going to lose that. And then put Redith. Redith? Did she have a middle name? Redith May. M-A-Y. And Moody, born 1879. Okay. And as I taught you guys that I just put the year of birth here, then I go down below and put in the actual place of birth, because this up here is not necessarily the place of birth. And if you put something in here, it's going to give you this anyway, so may as well just type once. That's the way I like to do it, but you can do, and then this is what I'm looking for. See if I have a death. It says she's died in 74 in Tulare, California. So I can add that, 1974, Tulare County. And then I want to put that she was a female because that helps narrow down the records that are in the databases. See what happens. And what we have here is an actual family tree entry, a public family tree that someone has put into Ancestry.com that we can access and look at. This may or may not be the same person. I have a feeling it is, but the information for her may not be the same as what I've got. So what I do is I'm going to go to this grave here, and the grave says she was buried as Redith May Moody. So that kind of makes me wonder, was she ever married? because on the gravestone they gave her maiden name. And if I open it up, and I think I may have looked at this at another time, and that's why I thought she never was married. But if we look at this death stone, this gravestone, we see that she was buried as Redith Moody. Most women that were born in the early 1900s and died, even in 1974, usually didn't take their maiden name again unless there was a real good reason for it. They usually were buried as whatever name they had if they got married when they died. So if she had married somebody, she would have probably had that last name, not Moody. So this is kind of rare, but it's possible that she was married and buried as Redith Moody. I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible, but at this point, I'm just thinking about, which of these records is correct. I mean, if this is really my Redith May Moody, then she was buried as a Moody, and why? Was she married? There's no information here on this find a grave that says whether or not she was married. But in this family tree back here that we found first, it gives a spouse, Guilford Powell, and I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but I don't believe this is the same person. I think I looked through this once before and determined that it wasn't. But we'll see. I'm going to go to this because there's a picture of her. There's a picture. And at this point, that may or may not be my ancestor because I don't know for sure. That's why we're doing the research. But it does look like the same parents. So I'm going to go back to Roots Magic and see. Louis Alexander Moody and Retta Elizabeth Finley are her parents. And that's what they have here in this particular family tree, family group record. And on this, they have her married to this guy named Guilford Duquesne, perhaps. I'm wondering about that. That really not 100% certain about that. Okay, what do we got here? So in 1940, she would have been 37 or so, maybe 38 years old. So I'm going to open that census and see. It says she was widowed. That says Ruth Stark. Okay, I'm going to open that up, see what this is. Ruth Stark. Yeah, that's very interesting. Let me look and get this larger so I can see. And move this around. Let's see, it says this person's name is Redith, Readith, and last name is Stark, and she has a son who's Cecil R. Duquesne, and it says this woman was born in South Dakota. Now, I go here and I look at Redith, it says she was born in Missouri. Okay, so that right there is a red flag. That's an error. So just because her name was Redith does not make her my Redith. So at this point, I'm going to say this person, it says they were living in Los Angeles, but it says she was born in South Dakota. See, birthplace, Oklahoma. So I'm not sure that's my person. So I'm going to go back and just, at this point, leave that there and see what happens. I'm not sure why they're connecting her to this Duquesne person. Let's see what this says. It says something about a marriage. All right, not sure what that's all about. Let me click on this Guilford guy. I'm not seeing any proof that they were ever married. I mean, I'm seeing information put in here by somebody, but there's no documents. There are no marriage certificates. There's just not enough information here for me to believe this at this point. It's a lot of information typed in by somebody, but there are no documents, there's no pictures of marriage certificates or anything like that. I mean, it is conceivable that she did marry a man named Guilford Duquesne and that the person in 1940 was actually my relative, but it's just not enough information to prove that. These things they're not going to give me enough information either. That says Redith Moody, but why would she be called Redith Moody in 1967 or 1974? It just doesn't make sense. If she was married to someone named Stark and also Duquesne, why wouldn't she have had that last name when she died? So did she marry a Moody later? Did she go back to her original maiden name? I don't have enough data, enough records to prove anything at this point, even about Guilford Duquesne. And I remember researching this back a week or two ago and coming to the same conclusion. So hopefully you're learning something by me doing this particular video and the thought process that's involved here when I look at these things in these databases and go on to the internet and look for proof. What I'm talking about by proof is not some person saying that this is my relative and this is the information I have. I'm looking for more than proof. I'm looking for not more than proof, more than passed down information through families, like civil records, like we've talked about before. Even a Bible that was written in years before is probably going to be more reliable than just passing information down generation to generation, because the person would have written it in there very soon after a person was born or died or was married. And so it's a more reliable source, family Bible or something like that, or a journal, diary, for example. If say say one of Redith Moody's parents had kept a diary, or even if Redith had kept a diary and we got a hold of that and it said, on such and such a date, I married this Mr. Duquesne, okay, and explained that she had a son named Cecil, all this kind of stuff. That would be more reliable than just what's put into a family tree that's available to you publicly on Ancestry or some other website, genealogical website. So that's why we do all of this research, is to find proof that the names, dates, and places of our ancestors are as correct as possible, that we can actually say we're really either completely sure or very, very, very close to being certain of the information that we are putting into our family tree. Whether you're doing that just because you want to have the right information and know who your ancestors were and you're doing it as a hobby, or if you're doing it for other purposes. And for me, for religious purposes, it's very vital. So, and if you're interested in knowing more about that, just let me know. So now I don't know if this is the same family tree or not. That's very interesting that we have a birthday, May 29th, Humboldt, South Dakota. That's very interesting. Let me look at this. Okay, here's something that might actually help prove that Redith Moody was actually born in South Dakota and not in Missouri. And this lists the father, Lewis Moody, and Reddy Finley, which we know is correct, even though this is, I believe, an incorrect spelling of his first name, which is no big deal. And so that's attached, and it says she was born in Humboldt, South Dakota. And she applied for, or had a Social Security card and applied for something, claim date on the 67th. We don't know what that was for at this point without getting her records from the U.S. Social Security records. This is attaching her to a Oklahoma marriage record, possibly. So I'm going to open that. Well, before I do that, let me save this. in the shoebox to go back to in a minute, and then I'll look here. Redith Moody. It says that in 1923, a Redith Moody, who was born about 1903, married a Guilford B. D. Kesney, and it looks like it has an actual record to look at, a certificate or maybe some license or marriage information. Here we go. I believe I saw this once before, and it says D. Kesney. They wrote it out above there. Guilford B. And we have a Redith Moody here. And it says she was from Oklahoma, but there's no way to prove that this is a Redith Moody that was related to Lewis and Reddy Moody. No way to prove that. So at this point, I would just save it in my shoebox and refer to it in the future. The only thing that I found that might prove that she was born in South Dakota is this record here. But she may be in error as to where she was born, because maybe she thought she was born in South Dakota, but she doesn't realize that, 60-something years after she was born, she lists herself born in South Dakota. I have her born in Missouri, and those two states aren't really that close. They're a couple states apart, so I'm wondering about that. That seems a little illogical at this point, but I'll keep this information just in case. And that backs up, this particular record here backs up what they put in the family tree. But I do not see an actual, I don't know why they connected this Oklahoma marriage record to this Redith Moody, who is the child of Lewis and Reddy. I don't see why they did that. So I'm presuming that the algorithm or the little computer program that runs back inside of Ancestry.com has made that decision, and not a person. And, the Social Security Death Index says Redith Moody. It puts her in Tulare, California. That goes along with my information that I have, that I found in the civil records, but it doesn't connect me to a Duquesne at all at this point. Now, there is one thing I could do, and just came to my mind, is to go back to that 1940 census where there was a Redith Stark with a Cecil Duquesne. So let's go back, see if I can find that. I'll open this one up, see if that's attached. Yeah, it's attached to the 1940 census. So the thought came to me, we'll go back to this document, and instead of looking at the image, I'll go to the record, and that means this is the information when someone looked at the actual record here, when it was open, and they transcribed it. In other words, they read it and then wrote or typed it into a database, that this is what they read, okay? All this here. And I'm going to click on Cecil R. Duquesne, or whatever the middle name is. See what comes up. And see if there's a death record that puts his parents on there. And that would help me. Well, it doesn't. Here I've got absolutely nothing to help me, because there are no more census records after 1940. There are some public records here. This one's probably like a white pages, where it shows the name, sometimes birth date, and sometimes address and phone number. And this is the same thing in the U.S. city directories. So I can click on these and see if, I'm going to open this up and see if this Cecil was living with who the Cecil was living with. And on this particular one, all it does is give a, let me see, is this a street? Yeah, this is a street with address of 1169 and a phone number. So that doesn't connect me, this Cecil Duquesne, with a father or a mother. And so once again, I would just save this in my shoebox just for future reference. And then there's some other records that have come up. Let me try this one. Okay, this gives his birth year. It's probably the same guy. I'm going to save that for future reference because if this is my Rita's child, I want to have his birth date. So I'll have that in the. And now here's another record that's very important because the World War II draft cards may have parents' names written on there. So I'm going to open that up. And presuming that Cecil Royal Duquesne is Redith Moody's son, then we'll see what's written on this card, if anything, about a Moody or a father or mother. This doesn't have anything, okay? It does say Rita Stark down here next to Ken. So I'm going to save this for my records in case he turns out to be someone related to my Redith Moody. But over time, the computer's starting to find more and more documents that are stored in the database. We have another U.S. World War II record. I don't know if that's the same one as we have up here. This is a World War II draft cards, young men, 40 to 47. This is a different one, I think. It's called the U.S. World War II Army Enlistment Records, 38 to 46. And I'm really surprised that there's no image here. They just haven't got it scanned into the record yet, probably. This is very interesting. It says he's from Oklahoma, but he's enlisting in Missouri. So that's very interesting because my Redith Moody was born in Missouri, I think. At least that's the record I have, the information. So this is a good record to kind of tie my Redith to his Redith, because it says he went to Missouri to enlist here also. I don't remember where it said he enlisted in the other one. Let me see if it's listed. This says he was born in Oklahoma, and that he registered in California. So I'm not sure what's going on here. Looks like he registered in more than one place for some reason. I have no idea why. So it's possible I could look through all of these records here and possibly find him with a father and mother. But in 1940, he was 19 or 17, I guess. His dad was already dead. I don't know. Let me go back to the mom. So now you get to see my thought process here and the frustration that can occur when you have all of these records, but you can't connect them to one another. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Ruth Stark. Back in the 1940 U.S. Census that has her listed with Cecil R. Duquesne. I'm going to click on this and see what comes up. See what the computer connects her to. And it only connects her with Ruth Starks at this point. Okay. Now, earlier, I was able to find a U.S. Social Security death index for a Ruth Moody, I believe. If I'm not badly mistaken. So, see, this is a different person. Ruth Stark here was born in November of 1902. The information I have for Redith Moody. Wait a minute. What was that? Was that Ruth? Wait a minute. I'm not even paying attention, am I? That says Ruth Stark. Okay. That says Ruth. Okay, that's wrong, because if I'm not badly mistaken, we open this up and it reads Redith. So we're going to go over here again. Now see, they've come up with a Ruth out of this mess right here, but if you look very closely, this is not R-U-T-H. This is R-E-A-D-I with a dot right up there and a T-H, okay? Then if you come over here and look at this, this is an R-E-A-T-H, And then for some reason, they've got an ITH here. So I think what's going on here is they accidentally put a T, they wrote a D over it, and they didn't like it because it looked messy. So they scratched it out, and they wrote Reedith over here. There is no Ruth. So that's very interesting. There is a Ruth somewhere who died in 1969 in this Social Security death index. But that's not my Reedith. And they made a mistake, and accidentally the computer has connected Reedith with Ruth. So again, I can't connect this Reedith here with my Reedith yet. And I almost messed up. And then I caught myself and realized, no, I'm not looking for a Ruth, I'm looking for a Reedith. So these three documents don't apply to my Reedith. And they've listed her as Ruth on the 1940 census, and it's not Ruth. It's Reedith. So normally, if I had the time, I would go in here and I would make a comment. I guess I could do that. Add alternative information about the name. And choose a reason. I'm going to say transcription error. And I'm going to change it. There's my, I'm going to put down Reedith. And submit it, okay? And then I'm going to close. And later on, they'll put that in here. They'll submit it in between the name and the age here later on. Someone will go back and look at the image themselves, and they'll probably agree with me because they'll read it themselves and see that's not Ruth. There's no way they got Ruth out of either one of those names, either the scratched out name or the one that was written next to it, in my opinion. So that's how you change the information in Ancestry.com, or at least tell them that you think there's a different spelling or something like that. So still, at this point, I have not been able to prove to myself, and my brain's fried right now in researching for Rita's husband. So at this point, I'm just going to leave it as, inconclusive, I guess, if you want to put it like that, until I can find something better. Another thing I could do is go to another tab on Google, and I could type in inside of quotation marks, Reedith May Moody. See what pops up. And we go to find a grave there. That's one option. That may be what I saw earlier. Then we have something here, obituary for Cecil Royal Duquesne. Well, how interesting. That's an obituary for that young man that was listed as a son of Reedith Stark, or what they thought was Ruth Stark, whoever transcribed it. So this could be the link that I'm looking for, an obituary for Cecil Royal, who was supposedly a son to my Reedith. So we're going to open this up. And this would be evidence. So technically, this is the man that was listed with Reedith Moody or Reedith Stark in 1940 census. Passed away this year, just a few days ago, November 11, 2019. He was 96. That's great that he lived that long. It says he was born in Coweta, Oklahoma. Son of Guilford Powell Duquesne and Reedith May Moody. That's great. It says Reedith May Moody, and so that puts me even closer to believing that my Reedith May Moody might be this Reedith May Moody, but it's still not enough. There's not enough information here. It doesn't say anything about Lewis or Reddy or any. Let's see, maybe he has a. It doesn't say that he has any survivors that are siblings. Doesn't list his parents, or it lists his parents, but it doesn't list siblings here. So the thing I would have to do at this point would be to check with these survivors, Diane Petrie and her husband, or Linda Duquesne, and find out if maybe they have proof that this Readeth May Moody here is my Readeth May Moody. So I'm going to keep this information by taking a print screen. I use print screen. Some people use the snipping tool, but print screen is faster for me. And I'm going to paste that down here by doing Control End and Control V and then Control S to save. And now I've got this obituary. And this is even closer. This is a much closer tie because it gives a whole name, Readeth May Moody. And that's not a common name, Readeth. So I'm thinking that I'm better than 50% certain that this is probably my Readeth May Moody, but I still want to get some more sources to make sure it's correct, because we already see that there's like a Ruth Stark and some other people that there are records out there that could be confusing, and I want to get something that's a little less confusing, a little more solid proof that this Cecil Duquesne and Guilford Duquesne are related to my Readeth May Moody. Okay, so that's great. Let's go back to the internet and see what else is listed here. Let's see. I'm not seeing anything really helpful here. I will check on this Find a Grave here. Maybe this is a different Find a Grave than the one I saw earlier. No, it's the same one. But there is one thing I could do. I could go into this cemetery and see if there are any other Moodys buried in here. There is an Ella Mae Moody Dennis, but she doesn't have an Ella Mae Moody as a sister. So that's probably not her relative. So you're seeing different ways I can look for relatives here. Is there a Mary Elizabeth? No Mary Elizabeth that I know of. So in this particular cemetery, the only person I know that might be my relative is this person here. It's possible these two are related to her, but I'm not sure how, and I'd have to do more research. But I don't want to spend the time because I'm trying to figure out if this Readeth May Moody was actually married to let's see, what was his name? Guilford Duquesne, and had a son named Cecil Royal Duquesne. So I don't want to get off on a huge tangent yet. And I'm just not going to worry about this right now. I'm not going to save anything from here because I've already saved this in another document, this thing here. Okay, I'm saying that I'm pretty much back where I was before. So another thing I'm thinking about is maybe looking for Readeth May Duquesne. Type that in. Let me make sure that's the right spelling. And see if there's an obituary for a Readeth May Duquesne. Okay, I'm not seeing anything come up. It actually knocked my quotation marks off, which totally ruins my search. So another thing I'm going to do is put Readeth May Moody and see if there's an obituary for a Readeth May Moody. Or Readeth May, sorry, not Rudith. Rudith. That is incorrect. I don't see a Readeth May Moody. So now I'm going to go to my newspapers.com. And it looks like it's signed me out for some reason. But I think my stuff's saved. Now, why do I have to sign into that? Let me go back. Okay, it's open. Let me put in Readeth May Moody. So I'm going to start with the full name. And if nothing comes up on that, I'll go to Readeth M. Moody. Then I'll get rid of the middle name and go from there. There's nothing under Readeth May Moody that's in the newspapers.com database. I mean, it's not saying it isn't in another newspaper somewhere else, but at this point, it's not in the ones that are on this database. So now I'm going to check Redith M. Moody. Nothing. Now I'm going to check Redith Moody. And something's coming up. And I know she was from Oklahoma, and I know she was from Missouri. Let me check Missouri first because there's just one article. Open this up. That's from 1998. She was still alive. And here's a James Arthur Stark and a Redith Moody. So conceivably, she married somebody named James Arthur Stark at one time. Let's see what this is. What kind of a newspaper article is this? Marriage licenses. That's very interesting. I don't know that this is my Redith Moody, but I'm going to go ahead and enlarge this so it can be seen well. And then I'm going to just do a print screen and paste it into my document. And just leave it there for now because I'm going to go back, check the other newspaper options that are behind this. And I'm going to go click on, I'm just going to backspace. There we go. Oops, that didn't work. So I'll pick Oklahoma instead. And I'm going to get rid of Missouri. Okay, Redith Moody, 1921. Let's open this up. What do we got? Redith Moody of Tulsa spent Saturday, Sunday with folks and Sunday with home folks. There you go. That could or may not be my relative. Then it says over here, Miss Redith Moody came down from Tulsa Saturday to spend Sunday with her parents, but that's not telling me who those parents were. So let me see. What's the next thing here? Is there another one? No. So that's it for that. That may or may not be my Redith Moody because it does say Coweta, Oklahoma. That's possibly my relative. So I'm going to check this one here. 1920, Jap Ingram called on Redith Moody Sunday. Here's Redith and Marie Moody spent Saturday night with Viola Brown. Let me look. Yeah, well, she has a Marie, sister named Marie. So that one I'm going to keep. So I'm going to do a print screen of this, and that tells me this is a social page, and so people that were well known in the community of that newspaper, they often put articles for some reason about what people were doing socially. Not sure why, but they did. Okay, let's go check another article here. Another one in May of 1920 in a Coweta, Oklahoma newspaper. Redith Moody visited Mrs. W.J. Flesher. Okay, I don't see anything that would relate to my relative other than the name. So I'm just going to leave that one there. And go down. 1921 May. Open this up. See what the article says. Mrs. Redith Moody and Oni Jones, that does not, other than the name Redith Moody, it doesn't, well, there's Marie Moody called. So I'm going to go ahead and save this one because she does have a sister, as we go back here, named Edna Marie. So it's conceivable, it's possible that that is the Marie they're talking about. And that would be a connection there, proving to me that these two people, Redith and Marie, are the same relatives that are in this family Roots Magic family group sheet. So I'm going to go ahead and save that just in case. So you're seeing my thought process as I'm doing the research here, why I'm doing these things. And yeah, this is a lot of information to put down, but it shows you the quick way I do it. You may not be able to go this quickly because you're not as familiar with going in and out of the different documents and what the thought process is. But if you watch this video more than once and just think about it and pay attention, you'll start to see why I do the things I'm doing, and it should add up. And then if you have questions, you can always comment or send me a message at Family Goins That's all small letters. GOINS, familygoins at AOL.com. Make sure that's saved. Go back to the internet. And I'm going to get out of this article and go to the next newspaper clipping here. I'm going to have to go back up a little bit. Redith Moody has blankety blank. Let's see what that says. This says an Edith Moody has been real sick. At this point, I'm not going to save anything from that. That probably is my relative, but it's not helping me connect to her other relatives or possible husband. Okay, this is really important right here. October 26, 1922, in the Coweta Times-Star in Coweta, Oklahoma, we have a very short sentence, paragraph, that states, and I will enlarge it for you to read, Redith Moody spent the weekend with her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Lewis Moody, Lewis, and that gives me a connection to the parents I have in my family tree. So this is very important for me because now this connects me to the Coweta Times-Star, Coweta, Oklahoma newspapers and the articles they've had prior to this. So this is starting to prove to me that this is a family I need to be looking at because here we're dealing with a Lewis Moody, and that's the way it's spelled in my family tree as well, based on my research that I've done. Okay, because we found that there were more civil records spelled Lewis, including his military records, and where he signed his own name as Lewis. So you see how I've taken all these records together to get the proper names, the proper spellings, and this is how I connect people and try to find proof from either newspapers or civil records or other documents, including family Bibles and things like that, to try to prove that this is the Redith Moody I'm looking for, okay? And hopefully later on there's going to be maybe a wedding announcement or something, perhaps even in this very same newspaper later on, that connects her with this, Mr. Duquesne, okay, even to Cecil. All right, so you see how I'm saving the different things that I'm finding as I'm looking into a document, or some people print it out. There are other ways to do it, but this is the way I do it. But this is a very important article right now because it connects me to her parent, or connects Redith to her parents. And it, not only that, it connects this Redith Moody to Coweta, Oklahoma, and this particular newspaper, where we found previously several articles about a Redith Moody, some of which she was with her sister Marie. And we know that Lewis Moody and his wife had a daughter named Edna Marie and a daughter named Redith Moody. And Redith is a very uncommon spelling of that name and a very uncommon name. So I'm pretty sure that this is what I'm looking for. So I'm going to save this. Control, print screen, and save it in my document. And I'm excited. Okay, so all this work I've done is paying off because I'm using my different databases, either genealogical websites or newspaper websites or the internet itself on Google or Bing or whatever, search engine you like to use. It doesn't really matter. They all pretty much give you the same information. So I'm going to go back and see if there are any more articles that maybe might connect this Redith Moody to Mr. Duquesne or even a Mr. Stark. We found one thing with a Mr. Stark, but that was in Missouri. Okay, we're going to go back up here. This is the one that talked about her parents. Visited folks. That's probably not important. It says something about an overnight thing here. Spent some time with the girls. I don't see anything important there. Redith is sick again. Okay, let's see what this one says. There's more than one name here. But you see how I'm going through these things. This is very important also. Mrs. Reddy Moody, and we know that's my relative. called on her daughter, Miss Edith Moody, Saturday evening. It says David Moody. Let's go back here. Go into Roots Magic, and what do we find? We find that her mom's nickname, instead of Retta, it was Reddy. We find that David, she had a brother named David, so that's in the article. If we go back. So here's David Moody, Reddy Moody, and Redith. And so I'm going to enlarge that just a bit, make it easier to see, and I'm going to move it around a little bit. And then I will save this as a print screen. Because why? It gives me the newspaper here and the date as well. So now I'm going to make this a little smaller, and I'm going to click here and see what it does. So it's just giving me that one piece of the newspaper. And I'm going to put that in my document. So now I'm starting to connect this particular Edith Moody in Coweta, Oklahoma, in the Coweta Times-Star in the 1920s, not only to Marie, but to a David, because she has a brother named David, and obviously to Reddy Moody, who's, Retta and Reddy are very uncommon names, and that just happens to be the nickname of my Retta Moody. So this is really nice, and I'm finding this stuff, and hopefully in this newspaper, in the future, like I've said several times, there will hopefully be a marriage announcement of some kind to this Duquesne guy. And that would be great, because then I would know who her husband is and who her son is, and I could put all that into Roots Magic, which is my particular pedigree and family group database that I have on my computer that I purchased for 20-something bucks. Actually, my wife did. And she downloaded it onto this computer for me so that nobody can get into my family tree and mess with it. Because when you go to things like Family Search and even some of the public family trees that are found on other genealogical websites, people can get in and change those things or add stuff or delete. And I really don't want people doing that with my personal family history. And you'll notice how picky I am and how careful I am to find many, many civil records and proof, like articles that are scanned and digitized, to prove that what I have in my pedigree charts and in my family group sheets is correct, or at least is as close to the correct spellings and dates and things as possible. Okay, let's continue going through these possible articles. I know this is a very long video. I mean, who knows how long it is at this point. But if you are interested in family history, you're going to have to get into it as detailed as I'm doing, and it's going to take you this kind of time. And so you need to get used to this. You need to pay attention to what I'm saying, and you need to learn from somebody who's been doing this for 40 years. And I'm not giving you this information all based on my own experience. I've learned a lot of things from my wife. I've learned a lot of things from literally dozens of other genealogists, and a lot of, hundreds of years of experience and knowledge that they've passed down to me and to my wife. So you're not just getting my personal knowledge and experience. You're getting a lot that I've learned from other people. This says right here, Edith Moody was something about a night guest. I don't know that I want to waste my time looking at that. It says Edith Moody visited Friday afternoon. Not sure. Not worried about that. She was a night guest of Ivan. Okay, we'll skip that. Edith Moody came from Tulsa for Christmas. Edith Moody, been sick. And that's it. I don't see anything about a Duquesne. Let's go back and see in my document here about Mr. Duquesne, and let's see, it says, I think they said they were married in Missouri or something. This is, he was in Coweta, Oklahoma. That's where he was born. And he passed away. How interesting. Cecil Royal Duquesne actually married a Moody. His mother was a Moody, and he married And Evelyn June Moody. How interesting. And they were married for 59 years. That's very interesting. Okay. Okay, this is not my Moody family stuff. I don't even know if there's any Moody family stuff in here, in this document any further up. Yeah, it is. It's way up here. Okay. So we started with her brother David. That's what we started with in this document. Okay, so we have David, this brother, Velma, I believe. Not okay. Then we go to Riffs. Okay. So I don't have any more information on Moody's. Thought I had some more information on Duquesne that I put in here, but I guess I didn't. I must have saved it up in Ancestry. So I'm going to go back to Ancestry again and look for the Duquesnes. And here we've got Duquesne and a family tree, and it says they were married in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So I guess I could put Guilford Duquesne in to newspapers.com and see if anything comes up. Can't remember if I did that already, but I'm going to do it now. According to this, I haven't. So let me put, what was his name? Guilford. I'm old. Guilford Duquesne. And don't be surprised if he is the newspaper, his name's spelt wrong. Okay? Because they had to typeset these things a lot of times. They had to put in these little teeny metal letters. And a lot of times if they made a mistake, they didn't go back and fix it. Especially if it was just one letter. Well, we're getting a Guilford and we're getting a Duquesne. A Virginia, South Carolina. I'm not seeing any Oklahoma. No Missouri. Okay, so that's very interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of Guilford. I'm going to put Pal, because that was his nickname, P-A-L Duquesne, and see what comes up. Well, how interesting. Pal Duquesne does pop up, and we have somebody in Missouri at least, not Oklahoma, but in Missouri, a couple of articles. Mrs. Pal Duquesne, 1931 in Macon, Missouri. Let's look at that and see what's going on. Mr. and Mrs. Pal Duquesne, vaudeville artists on tour when their daughter Jacqueline died, who was 5. How sad. And that was in Indiana. That's not cool. I'm not sure that this is the family I'm looking for, but we don't know for sure. So that is very sad. So her daughter would have been born, their daughter would have been born in probably 1926, 1925. So I'm not going to save anything on that at this point. Let's go to the other ones. Here's another Clinton, Indiana. That's weird. But this is in a Missouri newspaper. Pal Duquesne dies, 1934. It's not telling me much at all. I'm going to go ahead and save this as a print screen just in case, because how many Pal Duquesnes are there in the world, right? So I'm going to save that just in case. This is the Guilford Duquesne we're looking for, because that would give us a lot of information on him and their daughter and all kinds of stuff. Now, I'm going to check real quick to see when this son Cecil was born again. It says he was born in, it doesn't say. So, if he had been 100 years old, he would have been born in 1919. Let's add 4 years to that. That's 1923. So, a little girl would have been born in 1926. So this is conceivably, could be conceivably the same family. I'm going to go to the end, go back to the articles and check the last article on Pal Duquesne. And they have the right spelling. It's the exact same spelling. So that's pretty nice. And we know they were married in Tulsa, but they lived in Missouri at some time. Okay, this is not what I'm looking for, I don't think. No. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of Missouri. I'm going to go to a different state. I'm going to try Indiana. GB. This has got to be the same guy, because if I go back to this information back here, actually it's not in the document, but I do remember that in Ancestry it referred to a Guilford B. Duquesne whose nickname was Pal. Here we have an article that says GB and then quotation marks Pal Duquesne. And that's just too close. That's just way too close. And so I'm thinking this is the same family. Very sad news here about his death. But if this is my relative, I need to know. So, and I'm going to print screen that and put it in here. The reason I looked in Indiana is because they mentioned that the death occurred in Indiana, and the newspapers are reporting it in Indiana, but also in Missouri. So that's why I went to Indiana. So it looks like they must have been living in Indiana for a while. This man didn't understand about life and death. If he had been a member of my church, he would have understood that his daughter, even though she died young, that's not as terrible of a thing as some people might think. But I'm not going to go into that. Change the margins on this. Give me a little more space on each page so I can make this a little bigger. It looks like this is probably going to be her husband. So these family trees that I found on Ancestry.com that claim that there's a GB Duquesne or a Guilford B. Pal Duquesne, that's probably correct. So sometimes family information that's passed down is correct and is not necessarily as easily proved in the civil records, because as you can see, he didn't go by Guilford. And so a lot of these articles are putting him as Pal Duquesne, and they're putting his initials, not his name. He must have not liked the word Guilford. I wouldn't have liked the name Guilford either. I wouldn't have liked Gilbert. Okay, this is probably a long enough video at this point. So at this point, you see that I've reached a point where I think I'm more than 50% sure, maybe even 75 to 100% sure, maybe 99% sure that this is Guilford B. Duquesne was one of my relative Redith Moody's husbands, at least one. So I'm going to end it at this point, and I hope that you can see how I narrowed this down. I was able to jump back and forth throughout the different databases, even using Google or Bing if you want, or one of the other, what do they call them, search engines. to find this information. Now, if you don't have a newspapers.com, it's going to probably be a little more difficult. And I'm not sponsoring them. They're not sponsoring me. I don't sponsor any of these genealogical websites. I don't sponsor Google. These are just things I use. And this is what I'm using so that you can see how I find this information. So I hope this was helpful to you, and hope you'll continue coming back to see Researching Your Roots channel, learning from me, Tom Goins, in Houston, Texas. And you can reach me at familygoins@aol.com if you'd like, or you can leave a comment, question in the video comment section on my YouTube channel. Thank you very much.